Hello, and welcome to the Cancer Journey podcast. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sherry Ann.
And let's start with past check-in. So, Sherry Ann, do you want to go first?
Sure. So physically, I am a 7.925. Emotionally, 8.7. Spirit, 9. Hope, 9.4. And my word is expecting. How about you?
Okay. Physically, I am a 7.75. Emotionally, I'm a 7. Spiritually, a 7.25. And hope is an 8. And my word is figuring it out.
Okay. So today we wanted to finish up our perspective series, and where we are today is talking about the patient perspective.
Yes.
So I'm just kind of pausing for a moment and just stepping back into that place of being a patient. And of course, immediately what comes up for me is fear. Fear of the unknown and fear of that possibility that everything's going to go south and this is the pathway to the end. That's a horrible place to start right now, but I gotta say that's just what's here.
Yeah, and I think that we have to go there first to unravel what else is there and where else you can be. Like we can't I think it's really easy in that the patient perspective to almost block out everything else because I don't think that people hear you're sick with cancer, they're here I'm going to die.
Right. Even though we know that survival rates are up, it's still that old belief that hasn't gone away yet. I mean, it is this immediate cancer. And I know that Princess Kate came out for that big celebration, and she finally said, yes, I'm in treatment. I have good days and I have bad days. I mean, that's a big thing for her to say, because she really hasn't said, yes, I have cancer and this is what it is and all of that. So, somewhere there in her head, there's that, I want to get through this. And there's always that possibility.
And I think that she is such a unique situation because she is so in the public eye that she really does have to be careful about what she does communicate and how she does it. I think with, cancer patients who are living this every day in their own like cosms, there's so much that comes up for the patient, right? Like they don't want to take any of it out on someone else. They don't want to put the responsibility on other people, or sometimes they just crumble, right? Some people just crumble and they don't know how to handle it. They don't know, maybe they don't even have a support system behind them right now that's able to really hold them, or they don't know if someone is capable of doing that. There's so much newness that you're thrust into in a new diagnosis that just this I'm just like imagining the swirl of emotions that comes up, right? Like um the I'm going to die thing comes up, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we all know we're going to die one day, but like that just becomes so much more relevant now and worrisome now. The I don't know what happens next, those unknowns of like this new territory that most people, most people's lives have been touched by cancer, but not in such a way that it is you, it is your body,
Right.
and is your being. um and some people might even feel a little bit of like relief even from being like, okay, well now there's a diagnosis and I know it's wrong and I know there's a pathway
Right.
forward. There's such a
Right.
swirl of all of this, and it's, I mean, not that you want to look at that like, oh thank god I know that it's cancer now, but I'm sure there are bits of that. And so like to be in that swirl, how am I affected, how is it affecting the people in my life? Like it can be overwhelming. And I think we tend to
Yes.
say at the Cancer Journey Institute that um, this is a place where it's really easier to fall into warrior or to fall into victim or both.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. And I'm going to go back to something that you said before, which is, how am I going to tell people? Because I'm
Mhm.
just trying to get my arms around what was just told me, and how am
Yeah.
I taking it on? And if I convey this whole, yes, my mortality is shortened and I'm kind of ahead of the line, how do I communicate that? So it's, I can totally get and understand that desire to not tell anybody for a while,
Mhm.
until
Yeah.
you actually, the person who's been diagnosed, have a chance to really kind of digest it, be with it.
Yes.
Not even, not make peace, but just take it in and figure out, okay, so this is my situation. How do I want to be with this? And then from there, now, how do I tell the people in my life? First off,
Yeah.
it's your family, right? Your beloveds, whether you have children, your significant other, and then it kind of spreads from there. It's a big deal
It's a
telling
really big
people.
deal. And I think that when people sit with it, not necessarily people in, who are highly in the press and media, but are everyday people, when they're diagnosed and they want to keep it to themselves because they want time to process or to try to articulate to themselves, it can be really hard to know how to do that. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes time and just sitting with it feels like it could happen just with time, just with sitting with it. But I also think that a lot of times we hope that that's what works, and maybe we don't know another route because talking about it makes it real and scary. And so I think sometimes people sit with it and don't tell anyone about it, or only tell a select few people about it for fear of making it real.
Yes, there's two things there. Yes, making it real, and all I could say is, if this is a great time to enroll with a cancer journey coach who can help you in this particular stage, and that we
Yeah.
outline in the cancer journey roadmap. But we don't often do that, because you were talking about the swirl and the whole, is this real? How am I embracing this? How am I processing this? How am I taking it in?
Mhm.
But also, there's that other part of, even though we're in need of people taking care of us, it's just kind of a given. This is not a journey that you do by yourself. You have your medical team. You need your support group. You need the people around you. But there is still this undercurrent of you taking care of them,
Mhm.
and them wanting to take care of you. So from a patient perspective, it was like, well, how am I going to word this? How am I going to share this with them? And then, I don't really, do I tell them how I really feel? Or do I do kind of this light, gentle, oh, I'm okay, I'm handling it, so that they don't feel overwrought or they get scared,
Right.
like, if I'm scared as the patient, oh my god, what do you know, what do you think? And so you're trying to prevent everybody kind of going into a panic. So there's that,
Yeah.
I'm taking care of myself, I'm taking care of everybody else, I'm still processing this ball of emotions.
Yeah, yeah, and many different ones, and they're not all negative, they're not all positive, obviously, but there's so much to get lost in there. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way that it's like, well, I don't want to burden other people, so I keep it to myself, and the more I keep to myself, the harder and heavier it becomes. And so it's actually very, very brave to share it. And I feel that it's really in service of whoever's going through it to communicate it, because that's the reality right now, and it is scary to make it real for you. But the sooner you face that reality and however it's showing up for you, the sooner you can start to even emotionally heal from that trauma. That's trauma for sure. To get a cancer
Mm-hmm.
diagnosis, absolutely a traumatic moment. And it's not something you get past, but it is something that you can become friends with. It's a part of your life. It's not going away. And it's something that we can hold hands with as we continue forward, instead of denying that it exists
Right.
or denying the impact it has on your life. Like, I think it's really important and difficult to accept that weight into your life and choose to move forward with it, and have the people around you embrace it. And again, a coach makes that a lot easier to dissect what's in that swirl without any sort of judgment, because like you can say, I'm handling this really well, actually. Like this news, I thought that it was going to be worse. I thought that I was going to, have like a huge depressive episode where I couldn't get out of bed, but I've still been able to maintain something, anything. And that's still something to be able to talk to a coach about, or to be like, God, I love my caregiver, but I'm so frustrated with how they do this one thing. And that's definitely better sorted out with a coach than with your caregiver at the time,
Yes.
especially
Yes.
if there's frustration on top of it, because that layer of on top of communication is going to make it a little bit dicey sometimes. So people to just process the like anger off the top, be like, okay, what I really need and where this is coming from is I need my caregiver to tell me something in advance, or pre-schedule something just so I feel more comfortable in this situation, rather than being like, you're not doing this or that and I need help in a different way. It's just
Right.
so nice to have someone to process with who isn't going to
Oh
judge
my
you,
goodness.
and even who you feel like there are no repercussions for voicing exactly any thought that comes to your brain.
Exactly. And for that reason, I think that everybody who is diagnosed with cancer should at least have a cancer journey coach. Again, journey coach, because we're taking you through the journey, not just a cancer coach, to actually process this, because we have the tools and we have the skills to do that, so that, like you said, it's this incredibly safe space that the patient or the client is not taking care of the coach. The coach has got it. They
Yeah,
know how to handle this terrain. And so they can actually hold whatever the patient has to say. Since we're talking about the patient perspective, they can
yeah,
hold pretty much everything, but they get it. That's the thing, right? Not only have they been through some type of cancer journey, most of them are survivors. So, yes, they've actually been a patient themselves, but they know what it's like and they know what's needed. So, them holding that container is so, I just kind of imagine like just leaning back into a really overstuffed chair that's going to hold you, but is
yeah,
comfortable and safe. That's what
yes,
I feel like your cancer journey coach can be during this really traumatic and I mean, we use the word swirl, but it feels so swirly. Just
hmm,
to find yourself, you
yeah.
going through this journey.
Yeah, it's like it becomes, from this swirl, it begins to sort as you talk about it with your coach. And I love that image you just had of like a really comfy chair. And what that really highlights for me is that like the patient then gets to feel safe. It's not about
Yes.
the coach saying, I'm not going to judge you. I'm here to make you feel comfortable. I'm here to make you feel safe. It's not about what the coach wants their impact to be for the client. It's the client feeling safe. It's the
Yeah.
patient feeling like no holds bar, like anything that wants to come out can come out, and it can be ugly. I get, like, you get to let it be ugly if you want it to, and they're still gonna hold you. They're still gonna support you in whatever you need. um and just being a patient can be really hard. It can be really hard to feel like you can drop those walls.
Right. And you can say things like, this feels like life or death. You can't say that to your family. Gotta freak them out.
Yeah.
But you could say it to your coach without your coach going, I gotta do something. They're there to hear it all, because if you keep it inside of you, then it's festering, right? Or it has,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, creates this unease where when you let it out, it's like, oh, I don't really mean that, but it just needed to be said because I've been holding
Yes.
this inside of me. So it's
Right,
this
right.
wonderful, wonderful space.
Yeah. And I don't mean to say this to be triggering at all, but it's just, the length that it can hold is that even cancer patients, yes, there's that fear of death, but also with all of the other emotions, I know that at times some patients feel like, I'd rather just die. I'd rather just be
Mm-hmm.
dead already, take the burden off of everyone. Like, it's too much for me, it's too much for them. It's not even worth it. My life is not even worth it. And that's really, really scary to admit to yourself as well as anyone that you care about. But it can be such a real, overwhelming feeling to just not want to be anymore and to really want to give up. And your coach can hold you so deeply in that. Like, our coaches are so well trained to hold that space. They're not going to freak out and be like, oh my God, I need to call someone and have you committed or something. Like,
Right.
no, that's such a real feeling. And we're never going to invalidate. I mean, that's quite an extreme, but anything in between, it's not going to be invalidated by your coach or, gosh, anyone in our community, because I know anyone in our community could say something like that and we'd be like, okay, completely heard, true feelings, let's talk more about that.
Yeah, because
And at the end of the day, like, we want you here, like, to be very real about that too, and like hold you so lovingly. um
yeah.
it, like, makes me tear up knowing, like, I can imagine our coaches being like, and you're so loved. But that's a real feeling. It's
Mm.
so real. And you get to feel like that because, oh God, is this like new wave of life overwhelming when you're diagnosed with cancer?
Right. And then so that's really the impact of warrioring up and battling is that holding that in and all those words and all those feelings where here is that free safe space where you can say whatever needs to be said so you don't have to carry it in here. So it's almost like it's cleaning the pipes and healing you of all that you've kept inside so that you
Yeah.
can really do the job of real healing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
getting all that clogged stuff out that had nowhere to go, but here it does.
Yes.
Did I just
Yes. That
describe us as plumbers?
just like a little bit. It's emotional plumbing. But I see it similarly. I see it like if it's all clogged, it's not going to flow, right? Everything else that you have to hold, and there's so much to hold. You're actively in treatment. You've scheduled, you got to get places, and you're already tired because you're sick. Like, to expect anyone to hold that and be like, oh, it's fine. Crazy. That would be absolutely
Yes.
crazy to be able to be like, oh, I'm just going to like my next doctor's appointment and get my next like infusion or chemotherapy. Everything's fine. It's not. It's not fine. And those things are necessary. Your like doctors and your like care team, they've got that and they're trying to make it as easy as possible for you, but also that emotional layer on top of just like
Right.
the toughness of cancer. It's a lot to hold, it's a lot to carry. This is a similar analogy to what we used last week when we talked about caregivers holding all your stuff, right? The patients are
Yeah.
also holding all this stuff. They're also holding literally like their physical body that's carrying all of this is just going to be weaker. It's going to be
Yes.
weaker
Yes.
because
Yes.
that's what it does. And so it's just even harder to hold a grasp on all these things. When you can take the emotional layers off the top, it does become lighter and it
Right.
does shift how you feel about everything else you're carrying too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's that thing called transformation, right? Everything that you're saying. It's like all this stuff that you're holding. This is the new stuff, the diagnosis, and all the old shit, right? And then
Yeah.
you go into this treatment that takes you down, wears you down. I don't care what people choose. It will take you down. We're doing something to the physical body. And so we've got all of this in there and we are going to let things go. We have to. We can't carry it all. And so that act of letting things go is the beginning of transformation. Stuff that you carried for decades. It's
Yeah.
time to let that down. And how do you do
Yeah.
that? Because you're so comfortable holding it. Or this new stuff. And how do you make sense of that? It's like making sense of a cancer journey is pretty darn important too. Where do
Hmm.
you go to take care of all this stuff? And so I'm so glad that we have us and the Cancer Journey Institute to provide this supplemental support to their medical team.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
I really do want, and this is part of our mission, is to have everyone have access to one. And I'm so grateful for things like technology that allow us to. I was asked the other day, what what about the people who don't have internet access or easy access to the internet, or they don't feel good, or they can't travel? And I'm like, we do like 80% of our coaching over the phone.
Hmm.
It makes
Yeah.
it easier for our clients. It makes it easier for the coach. That's the beauty of this profession, is the coach can be anywhere as long
Hmm.
as there is, cell connectivity, that we could be there to support our clients, and our clients could be everywhere, including in
Right.
bed with, the blanket over their head and going, I'm having a day. And they
Yeah.
can, be supported.
They can schedule their coaching call at the exact same time that they're getting chemo, and they can be getting their chemo on the phone. Like, this sucks. Really?
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, you don't have to sit
Exactly.
there with a brave face. Just, this sucks. I don't want to do this, but I'm here. I'm doing it, but I'm mad. And they get to. They so get
Yeah.
to. I think we're right there with each other, because when you said that's really our mission, that's the movement. That's exactly what came to mind too. Like, the movement that we want is for people to feel so resourced along this journey, and not just in their cancer journey. I mean, larger in life too, but specifically for cancer patients, I think they really need this. They need it so that they're able to, we're not solving their problems, we're not taking on their burdens, but we're lightening the load. We're lightening
And
what
we're
it is,
prepared.
and I was just gonna say, and we're connecting you with yourself and what really matters to you. Because at the end of the day, past your cancer treatment, like, not after, but existing past it, you still matter. You still exist. You're such a whole, full human that to deny yourself anything that you're passionate about or that you love, like, it's not going to serve you. You still have hopes and dreams, and you get to keep them.
Yeah. We're propelling healing, but not just healing of the physical body, of the whole individual. And I think we're on our soapbox because we love what we do. We know the impact of what's possible. And so we're going to keep holding that light. We're going to keep holding that flag that says there's more support for you. And I think this is
Yeah.
a great place for us to pause until next week. Oh, Alicia, what is your takeaway and word?
My takeaway is cancer patients they're going through it. It's so hard, and it seems like the easier choice to remove other people from the equation and just try to, like, I can do this myself. I don't need to affect anyone. And you can still feel that way, but having someone to talk to who makes you feel safe, who makes you feel heard and seen and gotten at any moment, and can remain flexible with you, is not holding you to any sort of rigidity. Um, it's so important, and it can really, like I can feel it just, like, relax your soul. Yes, my word is clarity.
My takeaway is permission to
Mm.
ask for what you want. And you might not even know. Like that swirl may have taken you and just kind of shaken you up. And it's okay to ask for help, to even figure out what you want. So I really love the word permission. I'm going to own that. I'm going to own it for myself. I'm going to offer it up to everybody here. Permission is my word for right now.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week.
We look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now.